Let's talk today about dressing up for Purim. It's a topic that people like a lot. Costumes, dressing up. It's not like a Jewish Halloween. It's the furthest thing from that. We're going to have to understand why. Halloween is pagan, and we reject everything pagan. Dressing up on Purim is a very, very old minhag. It's an old custom that goes back. We'll have to talk about some of where this comes from. But it's
before the second temple was built, or
so there's hints that Yaakov Avinu was dressed up. He put on Esav's clothing, and there's dressing up that goes all the way back. We'll talk about this. Essentially, though, just to have the big picture of what's happening, we said that Esav stole certain months out of the year. That during that fight, V'yisabek ish imoy ad alois hashachar, when Esav and Yaakov were fighting, remember that night that they were having their fight? Yaakov and the Sar of Esav, Yaakov, this cosmic battle. Whatever you think Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader are doing, it's way more cosmic than that. That battle. They were battling over the Hebrew months. Who's going to have dominion? Who's going to run them? Who's going to have power over those months? And we said that Yaakov Avinu, he took the first 3 months of the summer, which is Nisan, Iyar, and Sivan. And Yaakov took the first 3 months of the winter, Tishrei, CHevRa, and Kislev. And you'll notice that's where all the holidays are packed into those months. And then we said that Yaakov really stole back Elul, because he wanted that Klal Yisrael has a month of getting ready before the Yom Naraim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. But really, Adar is the anomaly, because Adar is the month of the greatest happiness, but it seems to be in the possession of Esav. So we said, yes, it's the month that was in the possession of Esav, and everything was looking bad. Everything was looking dire. And Haman made a decree to destroy all the Jews in a single day. And then we see through the Purim story, through the tefillas of the Purim story, v'nahapechu, everything flipped around. That Haman thought that Moshe Rabbeinu died on that day, but really he died and was born on that day. He was born into every single one of us, like we talked about. So something happened where everything flipped upside down, and exactly what was going to be the worst thing for the Jews became the greatest thing. And now is the happiest day. The whole month is happy. It's beginning now. You know, why is something funny? What makes something funny? I'm going to give an example. And it's funny, but it's not so funny. But you're going to laugh anyways. And I'm sure there's a movie like this on YouTube that has like 50 gazillion hits. It's basically like this. Man is walking, and he doesn't see, but there's a banana peel, and he slips on the banana peel, and everybody laughs. You're all laughing right now. You're sick. The guy's hurt. Help the guy up. It's not funny. But why is it funny? Why is it humorous?
subvert expectations.
Because humor is, you didn't see it coming. You didn't expect that. It's quite to the contrary of what you expected. You expected that when a man walks down the street, what happens? He keeps walking down the street. You didn't expect that all of a sudden, like, whoop, and everyone's laughing. Humor is when you didn't expect something, and the opposite happens. You thought something was going to look one way, and what's called davar v'hipuchai. It makes you happy. I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be like this, and v'nahapechu. The opposite happened. The opposite happened. That's why a great joke, like when somebody delivers the punchline well, it's hilarious. You didn't expect that to be coming. When somebody like doesn't hit the punchline, he's like giving away the punchline, even if it's just not funny because it's all about the turn of phrase where you didn't expect it to happen, then it happened. So the Purim story is everything that you didn't expect to happen, the exact opposite happens. And because of that, it brought this tremendous simcha. So let's talk about dressing up a little bit. A lot of this is found in the Oiv Yisrael. The person wants to see this, kedai to see it. So it's interesting, the Oiv Yisrael says that it used to be that the tzaddikim, they would dress up as women. By the way, they stopped that for a number of reasons, I know. It used to be that they would do that, but they stopped it for a couple reasons. One, because there's really a problem. Anyways, a man's not allowed to dress up as a woman. The Torah says it's called beged isha, that men have certain things that they can do and women have certain things that they can do. And it's not about not honoring or respecting each one of the genders. To the contrary, it's about an absolute honoring of each one of the genders, that they should be and feel empowered as they are, and that a person could embrace the gender that Hashem gave him, and to know that it's okay to talk this way, and that to confuse children is a real problem, that they don't know who they are anymore, and that they're being fluid. This is a very, very big challenge, and that's going on right now. We have to help to empower young men as men, not like macho things from some, none of that. That's treif. That's not really what a man is. Chazal say, what's the sign of somebody who's mighty? Ezer Gibor, the guy with the big muscles, that he's like the loudest guy at the party. Chad, the master bro, and he could do keg stands, and he's the man. That's not male.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's just a big, he's just a boy that never grew up. We call the real master, bro, Ezehu Gibor HaKoivesh Es Yitzray. The person where his baby in the middle of the night is crying, and instead of like getting all grumpy, he tells his wife, I'll get up, I'll take care of it, you must be tired. He's a much bigger man, the guy could be a puny guy. But if he overcomes that Yetzer Hara of just sleep, if he gets up at that moment, he just wants to hang out and watch Netflix and chill. And there's somebody in the hospital who needs a visit. And he goes and he gets up in the cold and he gets into his car and then he goes to the hospital and he visits his friend that could really use a visit. That's called a man. It's called a great human being. That goes to a woman also. It's a mighty person. So when we talk about man helping to develop healthy gender roles of a man, we're not talking about anything macho and that stuff. That's treif. And sadly, the movies have mixed people up with all this stuff. When we talk about women, we talk about a woman being a princess, being the daughter of the king. And the daughter of the king is exalted. The daughter of the king is beautiful. And the daughter of the king doesn't feel that she needs to go and show herself to everybody. The daughter of the king says, I know that I'm important on the inside. And I deserve that respect from people. So it used to be back in the day that people were more clear with this. So there was such a thing, that they would dress up. Now, if you see a person walking down the street, let's say a woman, it's not funny, but if somebody all of a sudden walks in and he's dressed up as a woman, yeah, it's funny. Because it's the opposite. It's v'nahapachu. You see the Rosh Yeshiva look one way every single day. Now imagine all of a sudden the Rosh Yeshiva walks in and he's wearing a funny alligator hat, and like his coat is on like in a funny way, and like
It's painted blue.
yeah, just like what are those blue people? Isn't that a thing? Blue people, the blue men, the blue man group. He just like blue man groups it because it's just so different. Now, if you see a blue man from the blue man, you're not laughing. He's a blue man group. He's part of the blue man group. That's just his thing. But at the Rosh Yeshiva, I'm not, and I hope this is with the great cover to the Rosh Yeshiva. When a CHevRa person, if he would become a blue man group, so it's funny because not what you expected. It's v'nahapechu. Something flipped, something changed in what I expected. Now that could go even for any of you guys. You generally go in one way. And then you do like a little funny switch. It's anything, and it's, it brightens your day. V'nahapechu. I didn't see that coming. It gives you a certain simcha. It gives you a simcha. The dressing up gives a simcha. And he goes on, that the whole nace of Purim was through a v'nahapechu, that everything flips around, and that all of the miracles that were happening, when a person gets into that state of simcha, where he didn't expect something to come, and he flips everything around, all the blessing starts flowing down into the world from that. That's why generally you notice that the rabbis from all the generations were generally funny people. And the funniest ones are the best, the most effective. Because you don't expect them to say something, and they make a joke, and all of a sudden just opens up the channels that Torah can go in.
Like distance is less now.
That's right. It brings a lot of closeness, a lot of... Jokes are a very, very big thing. A big, big thing. It says in the Gemara that Badchei Rabbanon, that they would open up their shiurim, they would say jokes. My Rebbe's hilarious. It's all the time with humor.
And it's like on the topic that you're...
Yeah, because of their brilliance, they're weaving in humor into everything. It's gewaldig. It's to have the powers of humor are very, very powerful. Because it's all Purimdik. We have an expression that not every day is like Purim. The Jews say such a thing. No, not every day is Purim. Now, do we have an expression, not every day is Hanukkah? Not every day is Shavuos? We don't have such an expression. The reason why we have an expression, not every day is Purim, is because really every day is like Purim. And therefore you have to tell somebody, like, not every day is Purim. Because there's a havamina that you would really, make it Purim mamish. So not every day is Purim. But it's like Purim. There's something Purimdik. All the other holidays, I would never have thought that it would be that every day is Hanukkah. So I don't have to say, not every day is Hanukkah, take it easy. That Purim has this power, this aura of Purim, or when you thought everything was done, was so in the lowest, darkest, stuck place, everything flipped to the highest place. That's the flipping, that's the changing, that's the dressing up in different costumes that we wear. Because the power of the SIMCHA and the power of Adar was from the lowest place. Adar is the final month of the year, which means the lowest part of the year. It's the part that's the most, and has the most klipa, has the most power of Esav. Whenever you get to the end of something, like you played Mario Brothers, you get to the end, Bowser steps in, he starts making moves. Whenever you get to the end, it's like the dark side comes in and tries to make very, very powerful moves to try to stop a person. And right at the end, right when you're on the goal line, that's when all the forces try to stop you. So at the end of the year, right now, right before, Adar is the last month of the year, all the Yetzer Hara, everything, that's why Adar is, it's already getting nice outside. It's always nice in Jerusalem and Eretz Yisrael. It's getting a little bit warmer. Everybody feels it's the time the tithes come out. It's a time, Adar is, everyone's happy, everything's so... On the side of tithe, you have to be careful. It's the time that the Yetzer Hara comes with full. So, but the v'nahapechu, if you could flip that, the kedusha that's available this month, by changing your clothing, so to speak, by flipping, is going all the way to the other end. And the humor of that, the gewaldike v'nahapechu, asher yishlatu haYehudim, hema b'sayneim, that everything's going to come back in a positive way. And we're going to see great, great ore. So look what he says further. He brings an amazing, amazing thing. He says, whose name in the Torah is called laughter? Yitzchak. It's interesting. Yitzchak, his name is called happy. It's called laughing. I think, wasn't that Adam Sandler? Happy?
Gilmore.
Happy, right? He called him happy.
Happy go.
He's a Yid. You should come to Torah. Bring him home. Okay, if there's any Adam Sandler viewers out there, tell him to come to Torah. He has an invitation. So, happy. So there's a happy in the Torah. His name is Yitzchak. It's more than just happy, it's laughter. Laughter. So why was his name Yitzchak?
Because when Abraham heard Hashem said that he'll have a kid at the end of the year, he took it as if it already came true and he wasn't happy.
So it seems why everyone was laughing. Everything around the birth of Yitzchak, everyone's like laughing. So I'm 99 years old. My wife is 89. And she doesn't have a womb. We're going to have a baby? So the fact that there was a Besura Tov that we're going to have a baby means the exact opposite. I mean, there's no way that we're having a child. Like you think, like 100-year-old, and it's like an old bubby, Alta bubby and Zaidi. All of a sudden they're just going to have like a newborn in the house. It's very funny. It's v'nahapachu. It's like the banana. You don't expect that to happen. You see a Mazel Tov go out. 100-year-old and 90-year-old lady have their first child. Okay, you don't usually see headlines like that. So the tzchaik was, there's no way. Sarah's laughing in the tent like, I don't have a womb. I'm not having a baby. She didn't have a womb. She prayed so much to Hashem that God created her a womb. That's a big nace. That's also tzchaik. A woman who's 90 without a womb. So everything goes the exact opposite. So Yitzchak. But what else is funny? So it says the Oiv Yisrael, a gewaldige thing. Okay, hear this well, and this is really the secret of everything that we do regarding the dressing up. Avram Avinu, what sphere or what world does Avram Avinu come from? Comes from the world of Chesed. Avram Avinu is the world of Chesed. Chesed is also compared to water. Water, just this giving, this unbelievable chesed. That's why in the times of the Mabul, in the times of the flood, there was an overabundance of chesed, similar to what's going on now in the world. Chesed became out of control, and that's why people were blending. They were blurring the borders of my property, your property, his wife, her husband, this animal, this person, everything was getting blurred together. And that's called just too much chesed, too much water. That makes a flood. And so much water also just blends everything together. Everything just gets blended and lost. So Avram Avinu is the right measure of chesed. So water, he's chesed, giving. Yitzchak is from the world of gevura. Gevura means to restrain, to stop, to create borders of how the chesed should come into the world. If Avram Avinu is like Niagara Falls, you're thirsty, so go to Niagara Falls. So Yitzchak is like putting pipes into Niagara Falls to allow for the water to come out. And Yaakov Avinu is opening up the faucet and having the right measure of water. The exact perfect blend. But Yitzchak is saying we need to put pipes here. We have to stop things. So that power, that gevura, that's also why we see very little of Yitzchak in the Torah. He himself is gevura. It's like he's restricted in the Torah. You don't see very much of him. So Yitzchak is Gevura, and Gevura is Eish. Gevura is fire. So Avram Avinu is Chesed. So what would you have thought? That Avram Avinu, when he gives birth, who should his son be? His son should be somebody who is an Avram Avinu, right?
Greater chesed.
Should be even more Chesed, a continuity, a continuation of Chesed. So as soon as Yitzchak's born, all the upper worlds realize that Avram just had a Yitzchak. He just had a Gevura. I mean, this is not you. This is fire and water. Because it was the exact opposite of the Midah of Avram Avinu, the whole of Shemaim started laughing. If you can imagine what that looks like. All the spiritual worlds are like having this cosmic laughter going on. Because V'nahapechud, everyone's rolling on their backs, laughing up in Shemaim. That Avram Avinu had a Yitzchak, the exact opposite of V'nahapachu, and the whole thing is like Gevaldik Yitzchak. And we're going to call him Yitzchak because everyone's laughing. When Yitzchak is born, there's just laughter all over the place. Because the exact opposite, like the banana peel. I didn't see it coming. Now listen to what the Arizal says. Okay, this is mamish, crazy stuff. However, at the Akeidah's Yitzchak, when Avram was told to take Yitzchak to the Akeidah, so he's bringing him to the Akeidah. So I'm going to read you the psukim. V'yomer Yitzchak al Avram, and Yitzchak said to his father Aviv, Vayomer Avi, and his father said, Vayomer, Hineni Beni, I'm here, my son. That's seemingly the way that we all read it growing up. The Arizal says, though, there's another way to read this, which is totally permdik. That usually we say that Avram Avinu was chesed. But what happened at the Akeidah? Was Avram Avinu acting in a way of chesed at the Akeidah? Or is he acting in a way of gevura? Chesed would have said, spare your son. Gevura would say, if this is what Hashem is saying, that listening to God is more important than life. Listening to God, to Ratzon Hashem, is more important than life. Then the Gevura would say that you have to do this. And Yitzchak, who's Gevura, who would seemingly put a stop to it, he takes on the midah of Avram, of Chesed, and just like Chesed of water, just throws himself and just allows, seemingly passive, just allowing everything to happen. So look what the Arizal says. Hainu shahaya Yitzchak mitmiya me'oid va'omer la'aviv. Haloi ata avi. So it says, Vayomer Yitzchak el Avram. Avi, aren't you my father? Ritzayna loimer hayedu mefursim b'midas tuvcha. Aren't you that mid of chesed? Aren't you my father? But now you seem to be acting like me. Vayomer. And Avram Avinu said back, Hineni. Avram says back, Hineni. You know who I am? Beni. I became my son. I'm you now. It's Purim. I dressed up as you. You dressed up as me. V'yelchu yachtov, and they went together. They went together, mamish, Purim dik. They dressed up in each other's midas, and the blessing that came down to us from that incident of the dressing up of Avram Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu is a merit for Klal Yisrael for eternity of the Akeidah Yitzchak. And therefore, when we dress up, so there's a lot of dimensions happening. We're going into the world of Yitzchak Avinu, of everything that you thought was happening that shouldn't be happening. You could flip all the dinim. You could flip everything around. All the most challenging things in your life on Purim, you could flip into the most unbelievable blessings. So you dress up as a way to arouse this tzchaik, as a way to arouse this simcha, this laughter. And they say that what you dress up as, you're looking for that a little bit. There's something about that you're... Also, by the way, many didn't dress up per se, they just wore Yom Tov clothing, they wore fancy clothing. But others still dress up. The many tzaddikim who do still dress up, there's such a thing. Or at least to have something to do v'nehapachu, everything the opposite, and from that to take all the gezer of Haman, and all the kol gunda delay, and all of his henchmen. And instead of Mordechai being on the gallows, that all the evil in the world is going to get put on the gallows once and for all. We're going to see mamish, a gewaltige simcha. We're going to see everything's going to be ganz Purim dik here. And whoever seemed to be up is going to be down. And whoever's down is going to be up once again. La Yehudim Aisa'or v'simcha v'sos v'ikar kain tiyelanu. Amen.
Amen.
Afrei lachem Purim.
So what's the Akeidah?